Hi everybody. Today we are going to talk about using your one-stop reading shop to collect root words and to study root patterns. So make sure that you get your one-stop reading shop open and you are going to be looking for the root word collection tab. Yours is most likely a few tabs over. You can click and drag and rearrange the order of your tabs. And so my root word collection tab has just ended up in front. So on the left-hand side here, we have a place where you will be collecting words that follow the root patterns that we are going to study. And on the right-hand side over here, you have your units of study. And you can even preview words that we will, root patterns and words that we will be learning throughout the year. So in taking a look at Unit 1, the theme for Unit 1 is just add water. So think about all of these words are going to have something to do with water. And you can look at the slide that's been embedded here, but you can also find these slides linked in Schoology. So if this is too small for you to read, you can try zooming in on your screen. My touch screen isn't working right now. So if I need to access this slide in a bigger, more visible format, you are going to go right back into this root patterns folder on Schoology and come down here to Unit 1, just add water. And you should see a Google Doc, or sorry, a Google presentation. And so it will take you right there to your Unit 1, just have water. Put that in present mode if you want an even better view. Okay, so on to Unit 1. The root patterns have already been provided for you over here. So you can see that hydra is Greek for water. Mar is Latin and means sea, and aqua or aqua, depending on the spelling of the word. Sometimes you'll have a different format or a different spelling of the root, but it actually means the same thing. So aqua is Latin for water. And this has all been typed in for you this time. Then we're going to take a look at the sample words. So for hydra, meaning water, our example word is dehydrate. And we have the meaning for dehydrate provided here, and you are going to go ahead and type that in. Feel free to simplify the definitions a little bit too. I'm typing it word for word, but even better would be to put it into your own words and really show that you grasp an understanding of that. So Mar is the next one, and our example is marina. And that is a harbor where small boats dock. So I'm just going to say a harbor for boats to dock. And then finally we have aquatic as our example word for aqua, living or taking place in the water. And then you are going to go ahead and insert a picture for each of those. So sometimes students will ask, am I inserting a picture for the meaning of the root or for the meaning of the word? And I would encourage you to go for the meaning of the root, water, sea, and water. But sometimes those types of pictures tend to relate to the word as well. So as long as you're connecting it with the general meaning, that should be fine. And you know how to do that. Insert. Image in cell and go ahead and search up your image and get the images inserted for each of those. So maybe I'll search for water is going to be a pretty broad search. So water droplet might be more specific. And of course, that picture is going to be tiny in there, but that's okay for our purposes. So go ahead and go through those and insert the rest of those images. And now you are ready to start collecting some words that follow these root patterns. So I always recommend that you collect at least 2 words for each root pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and get this set up with those spaces. And you can do the same on your one-stop reading shop. You may want to pause the video briefly so that you can, oops, I put Hydra in twice. And so our last one should be aqua, but you may want to pause the video so that you can get those put in. Okay, and when you are ready to search for words, it's always a good idea to think of any words that might come to mind for hydrate, marmor, aqua. So if I'm thinking of the word aquarium, and so you're welcome to kind of make an attempt at coming up with some words on your own, but it isn't always feasible that we're going to be able to think of those words, and I wouldn't expect you to collect those words from a text because it could take a lot of searching to focus in on these specific roots. So linked right here, you have the web's largest root and prefix dictionary. And you are definitely going to want to visit this and become familiar with this. When you first get to the website, it doesn't look like much is happening here, but you really want to scroll down to get to the good stuff. And I really love that you can pick a letter of the alphabet and to get directly to a root. And so since aqua is one of our roots, I don't need to do that. But if I wanted to look up marmor first, I just click on the M, go ahead and find it in the list here. And here we go. And so it's not always going to be written identically, but if this is mar or mar-e, that's going to be the same root. You can double check the meaning. So we're going to count this as mar-mer. It has that Latin root. And so marina, that was a word that was already given to us. Submarine, and I love that we just have really short, simple definitions here that you are welcome to use, and aquamarine. So I'm going to go ahead and collect those 2, submarine and aquamarine, and go back to my one-stop reading shop. And you may have noticed that aquamarine could actually fit into the aqua section or the mar section. So I've just decided to put it into the mar section. And with each word that you collect, pay attention to the root and how it relates back to the meaning. So marmor means sea. So it definitely makes sense that aquamarine is the color of seawater and that submarine is a boat or an undersea boat. So oftentimes you will be able to make those connections with the definitions. And so you are going to go ahead and fill in these remaining boxes along with definitions and images or pictures for each of those words that you have collected. So I would recommend pausing the video and getting that taken care of. And aquarium was one of the words that I came up with on my own, but looking here at the aqua examples, aquarium happens to be one of those words, so I can go ahead and grab that definition from here. But you can definitely feel free to use other resources. This, to me, is just kind of like a one-stop shop for roots, so I do love to include it in the one-stop reading shop. Okay, and assuming that you have filled in all of these remaining blanks so that you have at least 2 collected words for each pattern, hydra, marmor, and aqua, that all fit into our just add water theme, then you are ready to move on to creating one-liners. And since we had 3 roots that fit into our theme, you are going to be creating 3 new one-liners. Okay, this is one of the only times that I will assign you to do more than 2 one-liners in a week. And so when we study root patterns, there are always going to be 3 sample patterns for each theme that we study. And on those weeks, we will complete 3 one-liners. But you won't have to worry about completing other additional one-liners because your root pattern one-liners will take care of it for the week. Okay, so just like I do on my personal word collecting page or tab, when I turn a word into a one-liner, I am highlighting that word. I can't see my screen over here. Okay. I am highlighting those words in yellow when I am turning them into one line. And now that I turn my night light off to block those blue lights at night, you can actually see that I have them highlighted in yellow. So you're going to do the same thing on your root collection tab. And I'm not going to use the sample words because I already have the definition for those. Generally, we'll go over those a little more specifically in class, but I am going to use I'm going to pick one of each word or one from each root pattern. So I'm going to pick hydroponics to turn into a one-liner, and I'm going to pick aquamarine to turn into a one-liner, and that'll be my marmer. Okay, I'm going to go with aquarium. I know you have completed all of those blanks that I currently have showing. So those are going to be my 3 words that I turn into one-liners. I always like to copy my definitions, so I'm going to get those onto my one-liner tab. And so here I have transferred one word from each root pattern: hydra, aqua, oh sorry, this one is mer, and aqua, onto my one-liner tab. I've looked up the definitions if needed, gathered the parts of speech, and now I'm ready to start writing my sentences. If you're getting further down on your one-liner tab, you may have to scroll back up to see those titles or just use the information above to remind you, okay, this is where I put a sentence. So in terms of writing sentences for your roots and your root words, this is a great time to have conversation with parents, siblings, friends, teachers about using those words in sentences. If you're stuck, you can also do an internet search for that. But I caution you about simply copying and pasting other sentences that you find. You do need to make sure that you have a general understanding of the whole sentence. So definitely check in with somebody, friend, neighbor, teacher, relative, and make sure that you are using those words correctly in sentences. Add your images. You know the drill for one-liners. I really don't need to go through all of that. Scrolling back up to the top of my document, you can see what a completed one-liner should look like, and you should have several of those in your one-stop reading shop as well. So I'm really excited for you guys to be able to dig into these root patterns. Your vocabulary is going to continue to grow when you are able to decipher word parts. You are going to be able to unlock the meaning of words that you haven't even encountered yet, just based on the knowledge of these root patterns. Please check in with me if you have any questions.